So you
Again,
have a
it's
massive
amazing.
plasma wave.
We'll try and find a good. Maybe we'll try and embed that or put it in the description. Solar Ham Radio, solarham.com, I think, something like that. I don't know. We'll find it. Maybe we won't. Look it up for yourself.
Yeah, look it up for yourself. Solarham.com.
They always do that. By the
Don't
way,
always expect us to put the links in, because sometimes things like that get overlooked. So.
And we're wrong. We can
be totally wrong. We're not claiming we're right here. This is just our opinion on things. This is how we look at things. Some of the things we look at.
As much as we might try to get everything 100% right, there's going to be disinformation. There's going to be misinformation. Your government has legalized propaganda against you, not against Mother Russia. This is against you.
You are the enemy, pretty much.
Right. So don't just assume that the fake news is CNN, because there are fake news YouTube channels that they started 6 years ago
to get them embedded into the situation for when this stuff starts happening. Now you have those believers say, "Okay, we listen to so and so and say, hey, this guy's right on point." When maybe he's been on point in the past, but now he's just flying off the handle and going the way that the government
discrediting
wants him to go.
Other people,
discrediting other people, turning on someone they supported at one point, now demonizing them because they become an enemy of the state, so to say, or the enemy of the deep state.
Just kind of creating chaos and using probably 80% truth to do so. So even though I've kind of spotted some of these channels for myself, and not just YouTube channels, but other news outlets that are claiming to be against the obvious media lies, it's still truth. First of all, when somebody's right too much of the time and predicts things too accurately, there's a reason that nobody's sources are that good.
Yeah. They get the right. They get the ultimate source.
And anyone who seems to really take a dogmatic stance on a politician, people, we would see. You saw a lot of it with Bernie Sanders.
Oh God, yeah.
And you saw a lot of it with Hillary, but it seemed really forced. There are people though that are like that with Trump as well, and in their eyes, he can do no wrong. And in my eyes, he's done a fair bit of wrong. I've tried to criticize when I see that it's appropriate to. And
let me just say this: on my end, I will admit, I was all for Trump. When I saw, when he first came in, when they had the first debate, and I'm looking at everybody on the stage, to me, he sat there and he said the things. It's not just him sitting there berating Megyn Kelly or talking down to Marco Rubio or talking down to Lion Ted, It was when he was speaking, the other people that were around him in those debates could not give you straight answers. They were all forced answers. They were answers they weren't true. They were just lies, and you could see through them. Trump sat up there, was kind of green about everything he did, but the thing is that you don't want a company man running the. You don't want one of these back pocket politicians sitting in the most powerful office in the country. To take a man that has very little political background, mostly is a real estate developer, made millions, billions pretty much. Yeah, right. He had a couple. His company went bankrupt a couple of times. He had businesses that went bankrupt in his company, but he had businesses that went bankrupt, a few of them. But he built them back up. So out of all these other candidates in the Republican Party, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not affiliated. I don't have an affiliation to one party or the other. I look at the best possible candidate and go for that person, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Democrats have dropped the ball in my eyes. At least the past 8 to 10 years, they have dropped the ball. I wasn't high on George Bush either, or Bill Clinton, to be honest with you. Any of them. Those guys. I say even. I was what 10, 12 years old when Reagan. Well, 12 years old when Reagan left office. So
It was
I really
88
don't.
was
Yeah,
his last.
and I was 12. At 88, I was 12 years old. So what I look at it is that Reagan was the last president that actually had any standing. When he spoke, people listened. He made headway in foreign policy. We didn't have to worry about. He made it so that we didn't have to worry about putting into the Cold War for the time being. At that point, now we've rekindled the Cold War to become a hot war.
He deserves the credit more than. And again, this is allowing for probably about a 20-30% chance that the Soviet Union never broke up, and that may be a lot of what we're dealing with today.
True.
And it's also even money in my mind that Trump wasn't kind of the plan the whole time. Just to be totally honest, you can call me a tinfoil hat weirdo if you want, but again, if you needed a distraction in the White House, who better?
Well, yeah, no better than Trump. But that's what I'm saying is that Trump. I feel at the time. I'm saying at the time I felt he was the best person possible to run the country. Now that he's gone in there, and some of the things he has done had been questionable. All right, even second guessing. Even when he goes. The thing about him is the Twitter. The Twitter is so much. He's out there he's tweeting and tweeting and tweeting, and he just doesn't stop. It's like, so it's comical. Some of it's comical, but it's like some of the things he says is just like, man, you're the president of the United States.
Right. There was a better way to announce that you were gonna remove transgenders from military service than a tweet.
Yeah.
That that might have should have came on the office letterhead.
Yeah,
not for nothing.
Not on Twitter.
You know what I mean? Because however you feel about transgenders in the military, and how I personally I don't feel that the military is a place for social experiments.
No, it's not. The military is not a social experiment.
And most veterans I know and active service would agree with me.
Yeah.
That said, these people have taken the oath and are currently in the military service and deserve they deserve at least I think
an explanation,
Yeah.
and some respect on the way out the door. And again,
I
agree. Honorable discharge or medical discharge or whatever you call it,
Yeah.
but also, that respect of, we appreciate that you served, albeit in a dress,
Yeah.
for the time that you did.
That's fine. But that's just one thing. But there's so many things. Just everything he's definitely not handled himself presidential all the time. We have
definitely not.
We have a
But that's
disaster.
kind of why we elected
But
him.
we have a disaster in Houston, and he's going to travel about tax reform. It's like, put the brakes on for a minute. Worry about what's going on. Give the tax reform thing a rest for a couple of days. It's going to get taken care of. It's going to be brought up in the Senate and in the House. So let's just worry about the things at hand. You have a hurricane hitting Houston at the time, and you had another one heading towards Florida. It's like you got disasters. You got natural disasters that are going to be impacting the southern part of this country. Worry about that. Then go on to tax reform, but that's all taken care of. Once you get everything in order with the aid, with the hurricane relief aid for both states and all the people affected, then worry about the tax reform. We have other things we have to worry about. Worry about what's going on in North Korea. Worry about relations with Russia and China. Worry about what's going on with the Democrats and how we're trying to get things worked out in the Senate and in the House, and we just seem to be at a deadlock with everything they're trying to do. Republicans dropping the ball on health care. He has to go and now it's like he has to work with the Democrats to get a health care bill done. So what is he doing? Is he doing this to try to fulfill his promises that he made, and his own party's not helping him? Is he going to these people just to light a fire under the Republicans' ass to say, "Hey, wake the hell up"? Because if you don't work, if you don't work with me to get my agenda done, then I'm going to go work on the other side. So I just think he just needs.
Honestly, it would be nice to see both sides maybe working in the best interest of the country.
Yeah, because he bipartisan effort like that.
Well, if this is an effort on his part to kind of start to bring that about and maybe get some cooperation going, I'm all for it. But I think that there are a lot of things on the Democratic agenda that we need to really scrutinize. It's one thing to not try to repeal Roe versus Wade, which I don't think should happen, and I am pro-life, but I don't think that we should repeal Roe versus Wade because I think it'd be disastrous. You'd have medical students performing abortions in motel rooms for $300. That's the reality of it. That
True.
Right. However you feel about abortion, unfortunately, it is now part of the world, and it's not going to go away.
No.
So, we deal with that and we move forward, and we hope that we can come to an agreement that when a woman is 8 months pregnant and this child is fully formed and can survive outside the room, that doctors will not then
do a late
term abortion and basically this is now
it's a human life.
It's a human life, and as I said, I do feel that life begins at conception, and I don't. So many people who are pro-life, they lay this blame on women. Most women are victims of abortion. First of all, the lifestyle that produces so many unwanted pregnancies, and then just the culture of, well, it's not even a big deal, you just get rid of it. That's something that has been so ingrained in people, and it's become such a just kind of a
way of
form
life.
Of birth control.
Way of life for these people. Some of these people going to get 6 abortions at a time. They go in 6 within a couple of years.
And how do you not feel bad for that person who can't develop any attachment to a life that's growing inside them? Like, how do you not have
devoid of
sympathy for that breaks my heart to know that there are people out there, that there are women out there who really can't feel. I know women who have had abortions and walked away and never had a second thought. And I know women who have had abortions and even if it was 20 years ago, still have pangs of guilt and think about what would have been and did they do the right thing. I have never seen the same. I've never seen a mother say that they wish, not seriously anyway.
No.
But say that they wish that they had not carried their child and had their child. As mad as parents get, I've never seen that kind of regret that I've seen from women who've gotten the abortion and then gone back to wonder if they had done the right thing. And
I wonder how their life would be if they had a child.
It's sad to see it, and
if they never end up having kids and they had an abortion at some point, and they look back and they go, "Oh, I could, what would have happened?"
Well, and ask anyone who works in hospice or nursing care, people who are at the end of their life who have family and a legacy to pass on and things like that. They die happier. They die content.
Yeah.
On the whole,
yeah.
And it's sad to see it. It's something that I didn't think about much when I was younger and
you know, the you were expected to say, no, I'm for a woman's right to choose. At what point is it not your choice anymore? That's the question. Is, you know, I know personally children who have been saved who were born at 4 and 5 months, who have gone on and who lived outside the womb from, you know, they were halfway to the point where they would have been born without any you know, complications, and they've gone on to survive and lead totally normal lives. So, you know, at what point is it no longer okay to stop that beating heart?
I say if you do it first term is one thing, but after that, after 3 months, shouldn't be able to abort. You know.
I think, you know, and I think that's
that's the furthest you can go. I think. I don't see second term, late term abortions. I just don't see that.
See that you're right. So like that's a good place to start that conversation. Now, we end up where we end up, but you know, it's
even if a
but
woman
it's how you have the conversation. It's how you know. So often it gets shut down as soon as you say, well, are there any limits? I mean, you will literally have people tell you that you should be able to abort up to 5 years old. I wish that was a joke. I wish that was a joke. There is that argument's been made, not by a legislator, but
by
an
wacko
activist.
Yeah.
And you know,
abort to 5 years old. All right, were you fucking stupid? That would just be, anybody who says that is just, how can they even be believable?
no,
You know, how can they even be believable at that point?
because the loudest voice is the one that's going to get heard.
Yeah, well, anybody says listen to that, it's going to be a problem right there. Well, all right, so I think right now we're going to end it. We've pretty much gone over all the things we needed to go over for the night. You know, and when we come back next week,
we're gonna get deeper into some of these topics. We definitely need to get into the AI, and I definitely want to address the Seattle mayor, Ed Murray, who is now resigning after a 5th allegation of child molestation. And this is not an isolated incident. This is just because he happens to be the mayor of Seattle and not some small town or a state representative in Oklahoma or some other, you know, non-celebrity that you only hear about in the local papers, but they're still in a position of power over children.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why so many of these people end up in politics and in, you know, positions of authority in different, you know, different power structures around the world. It's something that really needs to be looked at. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that next one. So next show, definitely don't have the kids in the room for this one, because it'll definitely be a little darker than what we talked about today.
Oh yeah, we'll give you the not safe for kids warning.
Exactly.
I'm going to talk about something like that. So we'll see you next week. God bless.
Take care and God bless.
You can do better than that.
Oh yeah.